And from here, we are squeezing through the quads on the way up. This is full extension. This is hyperextension. Do not do this. Don't do this. That's not the goal. Hyperextending my knee. I don't need to hyperextend my knee to squeeze my quads. What is up? It's your boy John H5 promos to tell like it is. Welcome back to another episode of Train With Me. Today we're doing my 3 best, 3 worst quad exercises that you should be doing and should not be doing. Okay, so as much as I actually like squatting, really like squatting, unfortunately, it's not the best exercise for building quads. Now, again, we're talking about like 3 best, 3 worst. If I can get 3 exercises that you can only do to build your quad muscles, what would it be? It would be squats, because the prime move for squats are your glutes. Your hamstrings and your quads divide up a little bit of that weight throughout the entire lift. But for the most part, squats are a glute primary movement. You're not going to get as much as you would like out of your quads through this movement. Of course you're going to get it because it has to extend the knee, but it's not going to be as efficient as other movements that isolate your quads. So as much as you guys might kill me, squats are not on the list. Squats are on my top 3 for worst exercises for your quads. Bum, bum, bum. Step ups. I mean, even if I load it and do step up, and it is a good exercise. So this one is a pretty good exercise. The only problem with this is the glutes are the prime mover of this again. But it's also hard to eccentrically load this exercise. People do step ups, they get up here, then they're back down. They're up, and they're back down. And if we're trying to build muscle, we're trying to emphasize that eccentric load of the muscle we're trying to build. So if we're doing like quads, yes, we want to be explosive or just controlled in our contraction at the top of the lift, but we also want to be able to eccentrically load it on the way down. And for step-ups, you really can't do that as effective as something else like maybe like a leg extension. So for me, step-ups, they're on my 3 worst exercises to build quads. As cool and acrobatic as I look doing this, or say I just grab a load and load it myself this way, as much as it is a really, really good exercise, and trust me, my quads are burning right now as we speak. The only problem is that it's an extremely difficult exercise to do. And I mean, look at me doing it. Now, I just learned how to do that, to be honest. I was pretty surprised I can kick my foot out like this and just bam. Just doing some pistol squats. Again, this is a very good exercise, but it's a very difficult exercise. If I could pick 3 exercises that anybody can do, beginner, immediate, advanced, they're squeezed on time, they can only do 3 exercises, what would it be? Unfortunately, it's not gonna be this extremely advanced movement for those who have extremely good balance and good mobility, strong quads, everything. I don't know. This for me, as awesome as it is and great as it feels, it's out for me. Hey guys, check it out. A lot of you guys watching the video but not subscribed, so do your boy a favor. Subscribe to the channel, hit that post notification button as well too, so next time I put a video, you'll be the first ones to get it. Hopefully by now you guys like the video. So if you like the video, hit the like button. Back to the show. On my top 3 best exercises for quads is hack squat. Why hack squat? Well, number 1, you're not loading your spine, so it's not really killing your posterior chain trying to balance a bunch of weight. 2, you can eccentrically load the crap out of this onto your quads. And 3, it emulates more of like a front squat or a goblet squat. So a lot of the weight on this movement is going into the quads on the way down. Doing this machine, we can make it a lot more optimal. Here's what we're gonna do. A lot of times I see people do this. A couple of mistakes I always see is they get inside here and they push up, their back's off this way, and they're up like this, and their arms are kind of like this. And they're pulling down, and their butt's off, and they're doing this thing, and they're squeezing their butt, and their back's off, and their core's doing this stuff, and they're pushing up, and all this wrong things you're doing with this machine. And remember, the success of your exercise is gonna happen by your setup alone. So make sure you set up this thing properly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna treat this exactly like we would if we were doing a squat from the ground up. So once we get ourselves placed in here, we want to get our feet, I get a position a little bit outside shoulder width apart. We're going to have our toes about 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. We're going to externally rotate from the hips so our knees are in line with our toes. We're going to pop this thing off so we can unrack it. While it's unracked now, we're going to engage our core so we have this big arch in here. I don't want to be holding this on my butt in the back. I want to have this thing flush on, tight. So when I move down my back, it's in a neutral position. Then I'm going to take my hands here, and I'm going to tuck them in like this. I'm going to almost be underneath this like a goblet squat, like a front squat. I want to stack my joints with this as well too. Why does this matter? Well, because it's going to tighten your base, it's going to tighten your brace, your core, your torso being in this position here. And then you're giving yourself a little bit help in actually being underneath this, pushing this thing up. Don't put your hands here and weighing yourself down even more. It makes no sense to me. So the best way to do this is, whether your handles are this way or wherever they're at, make sure we're underneath, stacking the joints, tight core. And then again, we're letting those knees bend forward and then tight and then pressing up. Engaging the core from floor to core. Watch my knees pass straight over my knees, pass straight over my toes, and then squeezing through. And then letting it ride down, controlling the weight eccentrically, and then squeezing up. Tight, and squeeze up. And squeeze up. And that's how you should be approaching your hack squat to put the most amount of this load on your quads. So for me, this is definitely on my list of top 3 best exercises to build your quads, or to isolate your quads. So, there's a question asked for me and Mike. It wasn't a question, a statement. It was like, leg press is controversial. That's all it was said right there. I don't know what controversial about it, but in terms of this being a good exercise for quads, not controversial at all. Why? Number one, just so we get this out of the way, this is not a glute exercise whatsoever. There's 0 glutes in this, maybe a tad. But hamstrings can be loaded here eccentrically, but not as much as it would be in terms of like really putting the load on here concentrically. So when it comes to quads, we're able to load a good enough amount of weight for knee extension, and then eccentrically loading the quads all the way down too is very significant in this exercise as well. Now, to make this more optimal for you guys, because I see this all the time. A lot of you guys are doing this. This is either too far up, so we have this really small range of motion, or it's too far back and you're like, holy shit, my knees are killing me. Find a place where at the bottom range, while your core is activated, you can get all the way down and your butt stays on the bench. You don't want your butt rolling up and then having to roll up this way. So here's what we're gonna do. Hey man, I'm doing some leg press. All right, cool. This is how we're gonna get in. Doesn't matter if it's right or left side. Just get in the damn thing. Get in, slide down, get your butt on this thing. Just make sure it's there at least, right? Then we're gonna get our feet, set, right? I've used this machine a couple times already, so now I know that my feet here are good. Now I'm trying to activate the quads. You don't have to be all the way out here, up here, or whatever. Just like put in a place where like it's very neutral position. Toes are on 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I'm gonna make sure my knees are in line with my toes the entire time I'm doing this exercise. Now I'm going to press this weight up, unrack it, and from here I'm gonna readjust. I'm gonna make sure my heels and my toes are on this entire plate. I'm not just pressing from the heels, we're pressing from the entire foot. Now I'm gonna externally rotate to make sure my knees stay aligned with my toes, so we're just open like that a bit, right? And then I'm gonna grab on here, put myself in tight, let my head back, and then I'm gonna let my knees bend. We're gonna ride this thing down. You can see my knees are staying aligned with my toes, on the way down, big breath in, and then we're gonna press up. You ever done some push-ups? This is what it is. Regardless, what we want is on the way down, controlling the weight. As soon as we get to the bottom, we want to make sure our butt stays on this. We don't want it rolling. And from here, we are squeezing through the quads on the way up. This is full extension. This is hyperextension. Do not do this. Don't do this. That's not the goal. The goal is to get from here and to squeeze all the way through. I'm squeezing my quads. See, my quads are squeezed. I'm not hyperextending my knee. I don't need to hyperextend my knee to squeeze my quads, right? So on the way down, controlling the weight, got on here for stability and some leverage, and then pressing up and squeezing through the quads. Don't think just locking up the knees. Squeeze through the quads, controlling it down, tight, and then squeezing up. And then we're squeezing through the quad, right? Not locking the knees out. We're squeezing. I'm squeezing the quads on the way down and on the way up. Hey guys, everything I'm going through in this video, I go into depth with my online coaching and it's in my ebook. So for more information about that, guys, hit the link in the description below. Peace. I'm leaving this one for last, not necessarily because it's the best for last, but it's the most isolating movement for the quads and probably the easiest thing to coach here. Literally, we're just extending the knee and doing exactly what the quads do, and that's just knee extension. Now, when we're doing this machine, it's keeping things really basic. Remember, they made all this stuff on this thing for a reason. They want you to use it. It's not there for show. Don't put your helmet on here. It's a helmet. You're gonna motorcycle or some shit. You grip this thing, all right? A couple things I want you guys to understand when we're doing this machine. Leg extensions. As soon as you get your feet in here, now depending on how this adjusts, get this thing around like, you know, the top, like the base to the bottom part of your shin, right? You don't want this to be sitting on here, so you're trying to flex this entire thing the entire time. So you want it up here so it doesn't disrupt this part of your foot. But once this is in a place where it's optimal in your back, you don't want this thing so far back that your knees are hugged underneath here. And you don't want it so far up that your knees are hanging off here. You want to have it just comfortable enough right here, right? So my joint can move freely. Now, before I start, the second I feel pressure on my shin, shout out to Mike Van Wyck, it was a good cue. I've used this cue a lot of times as well too, but as soon as you feel the weight on your shin here, you should feel pressure here on your quad, right? You should feel the connection from this pad in your shin to your quads already feeling it right away. And then when you start, you are flexing this up. You're not just throwing it up and then catching on the way down. You're activating your quads. So just like me just doing this, right? I'm flexing my quad, I'm just flexing. I'm doing that. Now underneath here, making sure that I'm gripping this to keep my butt in the bench, because I don't want to do this and have my butt coming up and doing this stuff here, because this doesn't help because we're losing the range of motion, right? I want to get my butt down here, pull myself in, and then I'm squeezing the weight up and controlling it down. Remember those first 3 inches up, those first 3 inches up, those first 3 inches down, we want to control. So from here, it's fluent up, catching and fluent down. We don't want to get from here up and then catching and then trying to catch on down this way. We don't want to go like this and trying to catch it that. You're not doing that, right? It's not going to work. Don't catch. I want you guys to think of controlling this entire time. We're just contracting muscle while adding a load. That's all we're doing. Right? We should be able to do this. The fact that I can do this, controlled, as fast as I can. I should be able to do the same thing in this machine, wrap it in here, tight core, head back, and then squeezing up every rep. In all the moves that you do, regardless if you're doing quads or back or buys or whatever exercise you're doing, it shouldn't take you more than like 4 to 5 reps to start feeling the actual movement. You should feel the reps very, very early within your set. And if you don't, it's because you're probably trying to fix yourself while you're doing the set. Then those last 3, 4 reps are the ones that really did anything. So right from the get-go, I want you to think all you're doing is contracting muscle while adding a load. And that brings us to the end of this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. You know, I'm coming with a topic it is transparent, vulnerable truth. We're coaching, johnrashid.com. If you want to know more about my coaching, guys, book yourself a 15 or 30-minute consult. At the end of the consult, I deduct it off any package that you pick. Also hit the description below for those discount codes, promo codes that help save your life or change your life for the better. Like Johnny10 for 10% off, bluesidenutraceuticals.com. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, guys. Send me your progress pics, your training pics, and your video clips, and I'll repost it for you, because you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.